Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Overnight, Russian forces launched 155 attack drones against Ukraine. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, incoming strikes hit 17 locations across the country. In Konotop, one person was killed and 3 others wounded as a result of a Russian assault. In Odessa, 2 people were wounded while waiting at a bus stop. Both were hospitalized with injuries due to shrapnel. Ukrainian forces also carried out a series of attacks overnight. In occupied Crimea, a Ukrainian drone struck a passenger train traveling from Moscow to Simferopol, forcing the suspension of the peninsula's rail traffic. The train driver's assistant was killed and the driver wounded. Further east, Ukrainian strike drones targeted the Krasny Yar oil pumping station in Russia's Volgograd region. Local residents reported direct hits accompanied by powerful explosions. In Novorossiysk, a fire broke out at an industrial storage facility following a drone attack. Local residents reported hearing around 50 explosions before thick smoke rose above the site. The facility served as a transfer hub for the Shezheris oil terminal, one of Russia's largest oil export complexes, and the final destination for several major pipelines in the Krasnodar region. Now on the front line, Russian forces continue efforts to push westward towards Sloviansk while attempting to seize key areas south of the Seversky Donetsk River, vital to supplying the Ukrainian bridgehead around Liman. Military analysts note that between late April and May, Russian troops achieved a number of tactical penetrations along this sector on the front. According to the analysts' assessments, Russian command has created a realistic possibility of bringing larger formation closer to both Sloviansk and Kramatorsk in the coming weeks, even though significant Ukrainian defenses remain in place. Meanwhile, tensions are rising again in the Middle East. Iran launched missiles towards northern Israel, while the Israeli military responded with strikes on Iranian military targets. According to statements from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the attack was retaliation for recent Israeli strikes in Beirut that targeted a Hezbollah command center. Reportedly, 2 people were killed and 17 others wounded during Israeli operations in Lebanon. The IRGC claimed that it fired ballistic missiles at the Ramat David Air Base in northern Israel and accused both the United States and Israel of violating commitments to the ceasefire framework established earlier this year. The Israeli military, however, stated that it intercepted all incoming missiles and that no casualties were reported. In response, Israel carried out strikes against military facilities in western and central Iran. Israeli aircraft also targeted several facilities within the Mazahar petrochemical complex in southwestern Iran, marking another escalation in the ongoing confrontation between the two countries. Ukraine's Special Operations Forces reported a night strike against 2 oil infrastructure facilities in occupied Crimea on Sunday morning. Units from the Middle Strike Group targeted an oil depot and a marine oil terminal on the peninsula. The operation fits a broader Ukrainian effort to disrupt Russian fuel logistics, especially in areas supporting occupation forces and military transit. By striking depots and terminals, Ukraine is targeting not only short fuel, but also the supply chains that allow Russian units to maintain mobility and operational tempo. Ukraine's security services says FPV drones operators from the SBU's Special Operations Center Alpha have eliminated around 2,000 Russian personnel over the past week. The reported figure points to the growing scale and intensity of drone warfare along the front line. For Russian forces, this means that conventional cover is becoming less reliable. Tree lines, trenches, and field shelters can still conceal movement for a time. Ukrainian reconnaissance and FPV teams are increasingly able to identify targets and strike them with speed and precision. New GoPro footage reportedly shows infantrymen from a foreign unit assaulting a Russian-held position, possibly in the village of Yampil in the Donetsk region. The video shows Ukrainian soldiers clearing a building, seizing a Russian radio set, and capturing one enemy soldier. The footage captures just how intense and visceral infantry combat over contested settlements and fortified positions can get. Captured equipment, particularly communications gear, can also provide useful tactical insight into enemy coordination, unit presence, and battlefield procedures.
Vazio! Vazio! Atirem! Vazio, caralho! Dirige, nem estrelhai! Se estudar! Vai! Não estrelhai! Se estudar! Ok, se estudar! Не стреляй! Да! Будь ласка! Будь ласка, друже! Давай, будь ласка! Да, давай! Vai, cadê a fita? Cadê a fita? Skilk, Odin? Odin?
Двое ушли.
O outro, cadê?
Não nada não. Só te dói na cabeça dele.
Amarra bem essa porra, mano.
Они были еще двое. Они...
Me dá o rádio.
А?
Não. Documentary?
Thank you.
Documentary? Documentary?
Документы?
Да.
У меня нет с собой документов.
Не documentary?
Забрали их там. Só cartão e...
Rádio?
А?
Rádio? Rádio.
Ó. Рация.
Dá?
Diz na
Ah lá? Estudar? Ô, tem rádio aí, tá?
Пошел. Трафь pra cá, traz pra cá.
Tira a bateria.
Там их несколько штук, они разные.
Ó.
And finally, a clip from the skies over Ukraine. A Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter jet from the 40th Tactical Aviation Brigade reportedly destroyed a Russian UAV using a short-range air-to-air missile. Geran-type UAVs remain a persistent threat to Ukrainian infrastructure, cities, and rear area facilities. Intercepts by fighter aircraft are resource-intensive, but add another bulwark to Ukraine's air defense network when ground-based systems are stretched too thin or when a rapid airborne response is required. And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.